G'day everybody, I'm Scott Poynton and welcome to another Cooey podcast. And this time we're revisiting a discussion that we had last June with Sara Moledor. Sara's from the US, but she's working with us in Palestine on our global worming project. Well, it's not really called the Global Worming Project. It is about earthworms and compost. But in June last year, we published a Cooey podcast called Global Worming. And this was really an introduction to the work that Sara was going to do in Palestine. Well, she went out there in September and started the project and wrote some fantastic blogs, which I will share links to when this Cooey podcast is published, of her experiences there. But she was coming back through Switzerland in December, just before Christmas, on her way home. And I sat with her and Julien, Troussier, my colleague who's managing the project along with Sara, and we got an update on what the project was doing. It's absolutely fascinating. It's going better than we expected. There's a lot of interest from the Palestinian community out there, and really it's all about worms for peace. There's a lot of earthworm wisdom happening on the project, and here in this podcast, Sara and Julien share some of their stories. I hope you enjoy it. Those of you who've been listening to the podcast will remember that I talked to Sara before she was heading off to Palestine to work on our earthworm composting project there. And she's working there in partnership with Julien, and they've both joined me today. Sara's passing back through Switzerland on her way back to the US. How are you going, Sara?
Good, thank you.
Welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks.
Julien, how are you going, mate?
I'm good. Thanks.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we just thought having you two together would give us a chance to get an update on how the project's going. But for those of you who didn't hear Sara's first podcast, I thought we'd just ask Julien just to give us a bit of context for the project, mate, if you can.
Yeah, sure. So the project started perhaps 4 years ago. The first time Scott, you and I went to Palestine, invited by the ambassador, French ambassador in Paris. And we came with the idea of working with worms to try and bring back some fertility back in the soil. So we had this very simple idea, basically, that with the waste available, and there's a lot of waste available.
A lot of food waste.
Organic waste. From a problem for waste management, you could create a very important resource for the soil, which will help the productivity of farmers, also help hold water in the soil.
This is one of the big problems there, isn't it, with the rainfall is becoming more and more infrequent and intense when it arrives. So it washes a lot of the soil away. There's a lot of erosion, not so much organic matter in the soil. Climate change is having its impact there.
A serious impact. And this is one of the solutions. There are many others with regards to water and farming, but it has the merit of being a simple one and one which doesn't require any external person to help. It's available. It's available on site. So we went the first time 4 years ago, and only recently this year, really, we found funding partners to actually start the project. And we found a place for the project, the Karma Center in the West Bank, close to Bethlehem, which is a peace center. It's a sort of platform for non-violence in Palestine. And it's a place where Palestinian and Israelis and Israeli settlers meet to talk and learn from each other. So it's unique. There's no other place like this in the West Bank. And it's a special place in that sense, in terms of human connection. And basically, we coming with the idea of connection with the land and nature as something that will help the work that is existing there, but also will perhaps be an inspiration for many people in the area. So at the center, creating an example of sustainable farming and through first composting and vermicomposting, but many other aspects of good management of the land. It also includes a little bit building in a way that's sustainable. So the project is growing progressively, and it's very exciting. So Sara just came back from 3 months of project. It started in September, and there's already been some good progress.
Sara, tell us about this good progress. What have you been up to out there?
Well, like Julien said, since the worms and vermicomposting is sort of at the heart of what we're doing, that was the first thing that we tackled. We built a composter and a vermicomposter, and then we wanted to familiarize the people who live at the center how to use it. We got some worms from a man who lives in a nearby settlement who is actually doing industrial scale vermicomposting, so that was a great connection to make. And yeah, so we're vermicomposting and regular composting, our scraps from the kitchen, and some agricultural scraps as well. There's a greenhouse area, and we spread compost in the soil to improve the soil. The state of the soil there was not great. Ali had planted quite a few trees that over the past 3 years just really hadn't grown at all. They've remained really small, and I think it's due to infertility in the soil and not enough water and not really very much maintenance. So we prepared the soil in the greenhouse. We planted some spinach and onions and put in a small irrigation system in there. In the orchard area, we planted a few more trees, also spread compost in the soil. We tried to formalize a little bit the recycling program. There wasn't too much recycling happening, but now, thanks to another participant who comes to the Karama Center a lot, he's sort of facilitating our recycling. So it's nice to see all these instead of a linear flow, things coming from the outside, coming to the center, and then going out, flowing out, we're trying to make these systems a little more circular. So our food, hopefully, like the spinach and onions, will be coming from the land itself. The fertilizer, we're making it ourselves. And then also one of the next big steps is the gray water system that we're hoping to install. We brought an engineer to the site to have a visit, and he's looking into ways that we could treat our wastewater. So that would be really exciting, because then we could treat all the water that we use on site and then and use it for irrigation.
So it's early days. As Julien said, you've been there 3 months, getting things started. What's the level of interest from the people that you're working with? And just give us a bit of a sense. You mentioned Ali there. If you can just give us a sense. I think when we did our first podcast, we mentioned the Karama Center, but we didn't really know so much about it then, because we hadn't, you guys had visited, but now you're there, you're embedded in there. Tell us a bit about what the Karama Center is trying to do and how the project fits into that overall scheme of things. Mm-hmm.
So the Karama Center, like Julien said, it's a peace center, and it was started by Ali Abu Awad and his family, and it's really it's a center, and there are 3 initiatives functioning out of it. The one is Roots, one is Tahrir, and now we have the Earthworm Project that has become involved. And it's just on a small piece of land, and it really represented a ripe opportunity, I think, for us. And it really complemented our project, and I think we complement the other initiatives to make the space, turn it, introduce an element of healing, like natural healing, to the space. We could say that it was kind of lacking in all things green and wholesome, and I think that's going to be a really positive impact that we can have there. And in terms of people's reaction to the project, it's been amazing. I've been impressed. I try to think about it objectively, and if I were just someone hearing about this project, it sounds interesting, sure, but I don't know. I don't know if I would commit in any way beyond that. And honestly, I'm surprised every time I talk about this with people. I talk about the worms, what the worms do, the benefits to the soil. People are so interested, and they want to know more, and they ask questions, and I can see, in their eyes, you can see they start thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the opportunities might be.
Exactly. So most of the first 3 months we've just been working on site, but we're looking at ways to sort of integrate and reach out into the community around. So this has involved working with the Women's Association in a nearby village. I gave them a small, I guess we could call it a workshop, how to do vermicomposting on their own. And the enthusiasm was overwhelming. I couldn't even get through my presentation. There were so many women wanting to share stories and ask questions and clarify things that I had said, and they were so excited about it. And we had another meeting with a mayor from another nearby village. Same thing. I was really surprised, but he was all about it. He wants to know when we're coming back and when we can get started. So it's been really gratifying, people's response to the project.
Yeah, when Julien and I first went out there, the overall feeling we had was that if we could help heal some of the land, we might help heal some of the relationships between the people. And as a consequence, we always thought this project could become a more global thing, but what a great place to start, particularly, in Palestine in general, but in the centre, Karama Centre, it sounds like you've got a really interesting opportunity there to get people from both sides of the story around the worm farms, and instead of sort of perhaps fighting over other things, they can actually start talking about worms and composting and healing the land and getting more productivity out of the land.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I know from your excellent blogs, and we'll put some links to Sarah's blogs. You've had some amazing sort of life experiences as well. I had a great laugh when I read about your shopping experience with the day with the ladies, trapped, couldn't get away. Could you tell us a bit about some of your life experiences there, effectively living in a Palestinian community?
So I could just say that my experience and my expectations before even going are so wildly different. I had sort of envisioned myself showing up and I would be working with Ali and a few of the other people who were there, and it would be professional and in fact, what happened is that I was completely and totally adopted by he and his family, and it made for a really wonderful experience culturally, professionally, and personally. And it's not without its challenges. I mean, so the blog that you're referring to was one night. I thought we were just going to have lunch with some friends in Bethlehem, and then it turned into 24 hours of shopping and eating sweets, and so it's just one of the things I've really been struggling with is just not ever fully understanding exactly what's going on, and that night was the epitome of that. It's more than just the language barrier. My Arabic I speak like baby Arabic. But it's more than just that. There's just not, people just don't communicate their ideas as readily as I'm used to. So I'm always tagging along. I'm always in the back seat, and I'm not ever really sure where we're going or when we'll be back.
Sounds like a great experience. Yeah. Real growth opportunity.
Right.
Julien, when you came back and you shared some of this idea that, there's a lot we can learn from the way the Palestinian community that you and Sarah are engaging with go about things. And this, we're all in such a hurry here in the West. We've got our emails, we've got our phones, and we've got our meetings, we've got our deadlines, and things seem to happen at a different pace there and with a different quality. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, the relationship with time is drastically different. And I think it's, for most people coming from the West, Europe or the US, the first feeling might be frustration because things never go as planned. They never happen, or rarely happen, when you figured they would. And if you don't relax and start going with the normal flow there of the day, and you will suffer. And you won't get anything done, or not what you want. But there's a magic, and when you start relaxing and get in the flow of the day, and it's the flow of the people, really, because I think it's true in other places, but the center itself is also an open place, an open space. And you have people coming and going all the time. So I can talk about that more, and I can, but it's a constant flow of people, Palestinians, Israelis, and so people come with their questions, come with their frustration, and come with their ideas, and a conversation will start. So what you thought you would do, the conversation takes precedent. The relationship comes first, I think, and having coffee comes first. But it seems, if you look from the outside and you look with your own culture, sometimes be like, oh, are we wasting our time? But those conversations are critical, and they're informal, but they are very important things said and learned during those moments. And if you work with it, you will also end up doing some of the things you wanted to do in the first place. But there's a certain magic. Personally, I've learned a lot, and I wish we could bring some of that back, because I think we've lost something in the way we work here by having every minute, thinking every minute should be productive and planning every minute. But I think we're not even sure productive for what. And relationships are suffering. We are suffering. Not to say that it's ideal there, but it's interesting that we come in with so much frustration and judgment when, I feel we perhaps have more to learn than contribute, and trying to impose our ways certainly will not help. So
we're 3 months into the project. What does the future hold, do you think, for the project? What's the plans? What are our What are the next steps?
Well, we still definitely have work to do at the center, but we're kind of more outward looking at this point, I'd like to think. So hopefully we'll start working with this village, possibly with the Women's Association. And I'd also really like to reach out to schools. I think reaching out to kids is going to be a great opportunity. Yeah, so I think, we've made so many connections and so many people are enthusiastic about it. I think that from here, I don't have a specific game plan for exactly how things are going to pan out, but I can feel that there's steam behind this project.
Well, I think it's the right way to go. If you have a big game plan, you can either find that you overestimate and then you start feeling that you haven't achieved anything. In fact, you have, or you underestimate and the whole thing you throw the plan out in the bin and you just go with the flow. And I think, well, in the nature of what you're saying about the people out there, going with the flow sounds like it's the way to go.
Exactly.
And it could be the path to rapid scale up. And if people really value it, it'll really take off, won't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was our sense. When, again, coming back to 2013, there was real interest in it. And I remember when we sat with one young lad and he was saying, the Israelis control this has happened, and he was great despair. And we said, well, who controls your food waste? You're just chucking it in a big hole out in the desert. What can you do about that? And you could just see the light go on in his eyes where he thought, as you described, people saying, actually, we can do this and we don't need to ask permission to have a bit of compost. And we can put that back on our land and we can actually have some control. And well, I'm looking forward to coming out and seeing the project. My sense is that that's a strong element of why people are positive about the project. That they're actually having some control over their life and over what they can do with their land. Do you feel that's part of it?
I do. And the more I think about it, the more I feel like when it comes to like violence and resistance and struggling against the occupation, it's a dichotomy. It's the people, the victims, or we could say the Palestinians versus the other. There are two players in that game. But a project like this, vermicomposting, or any other sort of ecological or sustainable project, makes it more internal. And you're not reliant, there's not another person. It's about you and what you can create by yourself and how you can become more resilient and personally like building what you would hope to see and what will support you personally. So, I think that it's a great project in that sense. And I think maybe that's why people are so attracted to it. At least that's why I'm attracted to it.
Yeah. Worms for Peace, Julien. This was part of the idea that it wasn't just about worm farming and compost. There's these little creatures doing their humble work.
Yeah.
There's a real element of what this could do, taking on from what Sara was saying about, people having a bit of control of their own life and having their own resilience. Where do you think this could go?
Yeah. Well, when you think about the worm, he's eating the waste and he's eating dead matter and transforming that into life. And often as human beings, we do the contrary. We take living matter and we make into a lot of waste and problems and destruction. It certainly has happened in the West Bank, in Israel, and it has happened all over the world. Perhaps what we trying to show there is that with simple steps, humans can do like the worms, and from waste or from a problem create a lot of wealth, a lot of creation, a lot of beauty for the land, for people. And the conflict is also about I need to own this land because resources are scarce and others are competing for that. So somehow I need to defend myself.
Land, or this is Palestinian land, and it's about ownership.
It's about ownership and feeling that outsiders, whoever they might be, are a threat to your resources and what you can access to. But it's based on the fact that we feel there's limited resources and we use them and we exploit them until there's none left. And perhaps with this project, we turn things around and say humans can be a source for healing, as we said. It can be a source for improving the situation, creating more wealth. So actually, with others, you can create abundance. And so the fear of scarcity start going away, hopefully. And so it's true there, and it's a very densely populated area. For a very long time, it's been a lot of people wanted to live on that land. And I guess if this sort of approach, thinking, action can start working there, then it could work anywhere. And we can start restoring land and anywhere around the world. And it's very much a story we tell in our head as well, that human beings we're fighting for scarce resources and we are a problem at the end of the day for the planet. Why, if we were earthworm, actually fixing things and healing, and it's together we can make things much better and live better together then. So I guess in a small way that's what we have in mind with this project, and it seems like very little and just little worms, but there's so much to learn in the way they do things. And we are convinced. I mean, we're seeing it on a very small scale that people get excited by that. They get it instinctively. They understand that this is what's happening, and you can become more resilient, and you can work with your neighbor to improve life for everyone.
Well, we look forward to hearing more about that. Sara, you'll emerge again. More blogs to read, but maybe around May or something like that, you'll be here again, or we'll come and visit you, Sara.
Yeah, even better.
Show us around the project, and we can do some chats out there. So thanks very much to both of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Safe travels home, Sara, and look forward to hearing more tales from your experiences in Palestine. Thanks so much.
Great.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Worms for Peace, another Kiwi podcast, this time featuring Julien Troussier and Sara Moledor, who are working in Palestine on our earthworm composting project. I hope to get out and visit Sara and Julien in the months ahead to bring you more news and updates from our work there as they work to bring earthworm composting to villages, schools and the Peace Centre. I'm Scott Poynton. Thanks for listening.